to come out. Otherwise, if you just let Barrel play his game, if you thought Lahens was a nuisance, Barrel can do so much more.
Yeah. Which game is he playing?
We don't even know.
That's the biggest question. As K'Sante and Skarner, both of them banned away as we dive into the draft here for game number 1. The Poppy, I feel like Poppy is always an early ban, like early in the series ban.
It's a game 3, maybe it makes.
Yeah, and then game 3, everyone forgets about Poppy, and then she comes out for a game. Is kind of how it works. But Kalista is still going to be banned.
Has that value as the flex, but we've seen it played so much in support, really to great effect. So often getting most value there. Kind of feels like we're just going to have Skarner, Kalista, and then the K'Sante has been banned by DPLUS. We've seen like the K'Sante Jace ban sometimes traded, so could end up seeing something like that. And Xayah coming through as a ban as well. This was something that Nongshim actually banned pretty heavily against Genji in their matchup.
I do imagine that's going to be then a priority on the Vi. We have seen Xayah get rise really highly in priority, and there's also the Xayah Rakan that has been very prevalent as well. We're also early in the series, so Yone is still up, and I think that that's another pick that Genji might want to pick up for Chovy.
I do agree. I think that the Vi is going to be a big one, but Jace has been the highest priority champion. And so now they've banned away the Xayah, and Canyon could just play the Vi, and you get it out of the pool.
Interestingly, this is the exact same first rotation bans that DPLUS had, that Nongshim had against Genji in their series. Feels like they've just copied the homework.
And also, that Ambessa ban would have been a Jace ban if not for Shiu's play on Ambessa. Like I'm telling you right now, when it comes to priority, I think Jace is a lot higher, still incredibly strong. As I was actually expecting a Nidalee rotation to come through, but with the Rumble, I do think that's less likely.
Rumble Vi is so strong, right?
Yeah, that's got to be the angle here.
Yeah, and I think kind of at the moment in top lane, we have like the big 4 of Ambessa, K'Sante, Jace, and Rumble. So we've seen 2 taken out. We end up getting that trade. It's not too much of a surprise. Does mean that you kind of want an AD jungler. You could also look towards something like the Yone as well, honestly, in this situation. To provide that AD. And a lot of setup for the ult, a lot of team fighting power. Definitely seen that combo work well. But they will lock in the Vi. Gives you that point and click CC. Allows easy setup for the equalizer.
It also just means that Lucid cannot play his most iconic champion throughout the whole series. And I think that that is very valuable in unto itself. But I do think that DK need to take the Nidalee themselves. Like, you've already got Jace, you've set up for like a pretty beautiful pick composition if you'd like to. Lucid instead, thinking about the matchup here, we'll see what he does decide to go with. As in the end, it's a Xin Zhao and a Galio as the combination. Seen this work very, very well thus far, and this should be a top lane Galio.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. And the Xin Zhao Galio is a combo we've seen so much. The value of Xin Zhao being able to jump in, open up a team fight, and then have the Galio come on top is something that many teams, I think Humble Life most notoriously have really prioritized this specific combo, and Peanut and mostly Zeka have looked incredible on it. We do see the Ezreal come through, which I do think is great for Ruler, means that Duro has
Do you think it's great for Ruler? Because I've been having a look at Chovy's solo queue recently, and he's playing a lot of Ezreal.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know whether it'll actually happen, especially not in game 1. But like, think about, you could kill 2 of Aiming's best champions, theoretically, if you Ezreal here and then just lock Varus or something like that on 4, and you're like, we're going to the depths of these champion pools.
Just slam Zarian and call it, like, it's fine. We're red side game 1, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether it'll actually happen, but the Varus is going to be banned away. Theoretically, Ruler can go with an Ashe as well. Like, Ashe Rumble has been a great combination as far as getting that initial kill in teamfights. So we'll see. I do think that it's probably still Ezreal over to Ruler.
Cooking a lot here. We'll see. It's game 1 still, a lot of time before we get to those bits. But I think the thing is, we often see like Ezreal and Xayah be great picks into the Vi. We often seen teams prioritize those. Xayah's already gone. Ezreal's picked away. You then target 2 more picks for Aiming, really starting to hamper down the pool that he has available to him. And especially into a Vi, you want something that can play a bit safer. The Varus obviously can play at such a long range. Kai'Sa could easily build Zhonya. So it'll be interesting to see what he takes here. With it potentially being that Jace mid, you could end up going something like the Ziggs to provide that AP.
Could be the option, as Silas the consideration and will be locked in. Very easily able to follow someone like a Galio around if you steal his toys. So certainly going to be a good option there. Corki now being looked at by Aiming.
Yeah, it's exactly what Oaks was saying earlier, right? You want something that at least has some form of self-safety, because if the Vi ults and you still have your Valkyrie available, at the very least you'll be able to drag her back and create a little bit of range here. And I think aiming has looked pretty decent. This is another pick that does that.
Damn.
And I can't believe we're getting it in a game number 1 already coming out here on the Zeri. And Lulu is available.
Does Beryl want to play Lulu, though? That's the question.
If it wasn't Beryl, I'd be like, okay, you have the Lulu pair as well, with not just the Zeri, but the Xin Zhao.
Oh, yeah.
From Mammon Enchanter, but it's Beryl. I feel like he wants something where he can lead the charge.
The Rel.
That would do it.
Looking towards the Rel here.
Ooh, Rakan, another one that can certainly do that as well.
I will say, though, I mean, the Xin Zhao ult is pretty nice. The Galio ult obviously has a global pressure, but I feel like in terms of like massive team fighting power, you know, Chovy was lacking options a little bit, but the Rakan ult is so good, so does hand that over in return and give some power there. We do see them looking at picking up the Alistair in this situation.
The cow, a consideration here. Dura going to lock that one away. So a fair bit of extra engage now going over to Gen G. But this does put a fair bit on Dura's shoulders, it feels like to me. Because I think that when you're playing Alistair, you need to make those huge pulverize on this Galio this time around. We'll just have to see. As here are the skin choices. Nothing standing out as anything absolutely crazy as we dive into game number 1 of this Fearless Best of 5. Oh man, the fans certainly showing up here today. Lol Park is full to the brim. Everyone hoping that their team is going to make it to the final tomorrow. And Genji narrowly making their way through. I think some could almost say that Nongshim lost in a 4-1 scoreline.
I'm kind of with you on that one. Yeah. Particularly given the tragedy of Game 2.
Yeah.
How that one ended. The definitely 3 orders away from killing a Nexus, and some unfortunate shot calling us. Might have a level 1 scuffle on our hands. Shio on his way as well.
Yeah, all of
That's
Genji
a big collapse.
In position, Beryl.
Oh boy.
Moving forward, doesn't find the grand entrance at all, but that's a 2-man taunt. Chovy finding a whole bunch of chains though, as we can see. Aftershocks wearing off, heals being invested. The Ignite down there as well, as Aiming really wants to be able to get a kill early, but Ruler's going to use the flash to get himself out. So 2 summoner spells in trade for 1, and Keen with full control of this top wave as he heads back up there. So maybe a bit of an advantage for Gen G as far as the top lane is concerned, but for DK as far as the summoner spells.
Yeah, they were definitely hoping for more though. I think if Beryl was able to connect that W at the start, I think a kill was on the cards. Fortunately, doesn't come through. They'll take the flash from Ruler, but it's Nezreal, so a level 2, he gets his own flash.
Yeah, not quite as high value. There was also Shiyu just seconds in time, like actually got the full experience of the wave. That could have been a big thing.
Yeah.
And then Showmaker also had to start with taunts because he didn't go for the taunt play as opposed to normally going for the Winds of War. I want to highlight Chovy going for Grasp here on the Silas.
Ooh. Okay, that's a huge headbutt as Beryl needs to navigate his way to the other side of the Uribank sign.
I don't think you actually needed to headbutt him away there. It seemed like Beryl, you know, he didn't have his E to get out. I think he was kind of in a little deep there, but Dura just disengaged.
Beryl?
In too deep?
You know,
he hit a 2-man grand entrance. It's really impressive. As they actually have the double entrances as well, which is cool. We're going to have to keep in our minds the heroic version and the grand version, which can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I always love, though, whenever you have a Galio, having someone who can lead the charge, because, you know, in earlier skirmishes, Galio can definitely make his way in, but late game, having someone who can go first and then just being able to ult on top, really powerful. And Rakan and Xin Zhao also being able to deliver that for him is big.
Well, so far, just some standard laning. Getting a little bit of a preview of the changes that are going to be happening in the future, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
As the lane swaps are going to be a thing of the past.
We have time to discuss it. They're actually gone. For real this time.
There's so much on that list of like things that are being destroyed.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it yet, it's great. If you like teams facing off against one another, it's a big win. If you like the strategy of lane swaps, Unfortunately, you'll have to wait till we're 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, sorry,
any of that's going to be happening.
There's a dozen people who are really upset right now.
Yeah, exactly. At least the dozen people are relatively vocal on Twitter. So you can, if you want to hear their opinions, you certainly can. TV Man, of course, formerly of the LCK's television, is also not a huge fan of the change. But he is living in a television, so it is a bit confusing.
That's a deep cut, Atlas. I'm glad you're bringing it back. So thus far, no crazy early aggression yet. Also do want to note Ruler going for PTA, which means in short trades is going to feel a lot better. Ezreal obviously has a pretty easy time activating that. And expecting there to be a good amount of action towards those grubs in just a little bit. And both of these mid-jungle, like 2v2s and free-for-frees topside, I think are very explosive. So it might be more about can Barrel and or Duro make their way over in time to try and find a decisive angle. Because whoever gets locked down probably ends up dying on either side. There's so much you see available, and especially pre-6, things like Alistair can obviously tank a lot more of a beating. The Showmaker, bit of a rough one there.
A little bit of damage, but Beryl does manage to even things out with a bit of a combo onto Chovy there. And yeah, Showmaker doesn't really take that much damage as he is a Galio. So he's kind of happy just to weather the storm. Duro moves into that mid lane as well, though, as we can see. And like you guys are talking about, it is likely a bit of a look towards some grubs for that first tussle. Keen hitting that level 6, a big point for the Rumble, especially for a potential grub fight.
Yeah, both top laners do need to get a reset up, though. They're going to look towards those. And Keen right now, the one really with the priority. Do you see both supports hovering around mid, just trying to find an angle, but not really any. It's hard to make ganks happen on both of these mid laners unless they really overstep with their cooldowns. But Canyon actually moving down and looking towards the dragon here. We did get the reset from aiming. Aiming's gone top, so definitely are looking at the grubs for DPLUS, and it seems like we're just getting a trade of those neutral objectives.
Yeah. Ping comes through as well. So DK gonna be happy to take this, and Vi does the dragon very easily with a W, so doesn't really need any help, and it looks like we will not be getting any action just yet.
I feel like we're a bit robbed. I just thought that maybe the grubs would be an opportune time, but like you were saying, with the top lane reset, there's no Keen up there, and so no equalizer to help try and even that one out. So instead, it'll just be a trade of objectives, as Lucid is going to be taking the first couple of grubs most definitely, and I don't think that Canyon's going to be there to stop him from taking the last one, especially as he has held his smite.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of expected Canyon to come for a dive bot. You can see Beryl is actually waiting around to cover his top laner, but they ping out, they spot Canyon on the top side, and I think they kind of realize now he's safe, although Ruler takes a big chunk.
Yeah, that is to the skies indeed from Shiu, but Ruler is just going to be able to back away, not really too worried about it. Heroic entrance being picked up here by Chovy's hijack. See whether that is actually going to be utilized, of course. Don't know whether there's going to be any action in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of a lot of the games that happened, I think, in the previous series as well, where particularly in Game 1, teams are just kind of getting a feel for one another. You know, we are poking, we are prodding, we are
testing the water.
Jostling for positioning. I don't know, what else do we usually say when nothing is happening? Well, we just talk about other stuff. But
yeah, normally.
Yeah.
Normally. Jostling for position, though, is a great one, because it implies that something is happening.
Setting up a line of scrimmage is another one.
Setting up a line of scrimmage. Oh, beautiful. They're not doing that, though. They are killing wards and things
so
like
much
that.
Worse.
Yeah. We're not beating around the bush here. We want to be honest with you guys. And right now, nothing is happening. That's why we're getting slight zoom-ins when our mid laners manage to take cannon minions.
He missed one earlier. I think
he
that's
did,
why.
yeah. The burn didn't finish off.
Yeah.
No.
It was a devastating moment.
That's actually why Chovy at that point got a lead of exactly worth. I'm not even joking. There's like one cannon minion's worth.
Oh no. Yeah. Now he's a few cannon minions up, as we can see here. But he's also most of a wave in the lead. As he's going to miss a chain. Beryl's going to move in. There's a taunt. Showmaker already taking a lot of damage, though, as in goes Duro. Doesn't find the headbutt, but also doesn't invest the flash. It does get Showmakers in response.
A really good response there from Gen.G. I think we actually saw, they spotted Beryl on the ward just a second before there. So they were very aware. Duro was waiting, and Canyon was also in the general vicinity, and especially with Vi, really easy to make those long range engages work. As Beryl just Says hello to Duro.
Yeah, they're just pressing buttons towards each other.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
This could be action.
Guys, this could be a thing. Equalizer goes down. He's on the red carpet. Is he going to survive? That's the question. The answer is yes, because he has Flash. And Canyon not going to invest his or anything like that to try and follow. Aiming, finding an extendo beam onto Ruler, and we have some disengages across the rift.
You know, we saw Gen G happy to trade neutral objectives with the first set, the Dragon and the Grubs, but you've taken the Flash of Showmake, you've taken the Flash of Hugh. I think when you're looking towards those next set of objectives, which are only 30 seconds apart,
Oh dear. Yeah, the self-silence working out here to Keen.
I think you really want to be challenging and finding a fight and capitalizing on those summoners you burn. And speaking of burn, she was feeling pretty burnt right now.
I would agree, especially with his Flash freshly removed. Lucid thinking about going for a little bit of a gank angle here. It's going to be a tough one, but there is no equalizer, as Cannon will be claimed. You can see a little pet still in that brush. Can't fool us, Jonas Strong. Never mind, he's gone home.
As it turns out, he did fool us.
He did. Jonas Strong always gets me, man. Every time. That's why he's the GOAT observer.
Master of suspense.
Indeed.
Truly.
I feel like, you know, we talked about in the draft about the Galio going top and the Jace going mid. And the kind of result of that not happening is both solo lanes for Gen G having a little bit of an advantage so far, being a bit up in CS.
Yeah.
I think if you have it the other way around, it would have fared better in terms of the champion matchups. Like playing a melee champion into Jace mid, not so fun. And obviously Galio really showed up in the meta as a pick into Rumble in the top lane.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that if you're playing Sylas into anything that's beefy, you're going to be feeling great. You're generally able to out-sustain, out-trade in the longer trades. Chovy also going for Grasp, it means she's even more beefy. And I think we're actually going to get our first fight right now. Let's see what Chovy's trying to steal.
Yeah.
Flash still off.
He does manage to get that Crescent Guard. Let's see whether that's going to work out for him in the team fight. Not going to try and chain his way forward, though. As you can see, they're a little bit late for this one. That is going to be one of the grubs picked up by Gen G. But now Chovy dives on forward. True Shot Barrage. Fair bit of work here. That's first blood right over to Ruler. And the heroic entrance does work out. Just unfortunately doesn't do enough. And that is 2 kills swiftly over to Gen G.
And I feel like it was a really weird decision because Gen G were ready to commit that Rumble, had him TP in. As soon as you join the fight, the equalizer value's there. Jace obviously not as impactful with the TP, but I was looking at the minimap actually, and it looked like he was trying to interrupt Keen's teleport instead of just matching it himself. So it felt like DPLUS were never really on board with actually having a straight up 5v5, maybe hoping we can stop Keen from joining and have a 4v4, and it felt very messy, but Gen G clean with how they set up for that one.
Yeah, call might have been that if Rumble makes it to the fight, like we're not going to be able to win, which I think is a valid call. The equalizer,
I would agree,
with the amount of CC that's available, is such an insanely strong ultimate. But now Gen G, they are going to be feeling amazing, right? Win the early skirmish. As Shiu again taking a beating here, as doesn't have flash.
There's the flash out by Pulp. Pulp comes down, and Keen's tanking the turret for a really long time, but the perfect flash timing gets him out of there. That's feats of strength going over to Gen G. One objective away from locking those down completely. As let's have a look at this fight one more time.
If you look at the minimap though, you can see Keen moves away, but he's on vision here, and you can see the Jace running over to try and stop it, but doesn't get there in time. The fight's already going pretty good for the side of Gen G, but then the equalizer comes down, and immediately DPLUS are like, well, you know, it's already like a 5v3, sorry. The equalizer comes, there's nothing we can do.
And Duro actually making his impact known on the map. Showing up there just before Shiu's flashes up, as we can see here, almost off of cooldown, but not just yet. And as a result, gets a kill over to Keen, and now things are looking great for Gen G across the board, and DK, one of the biggest advantages they have had has been their early game. And Gen G looking completely revitalized in this first game.
Absolutely. We have to remind everyone as well that this is a red side Gen G at the same time. DK have lost 1 game on blue side so far this entire tournament, as Ruler finds a bit of an engage, but Aiming says that he wants it, and Beryl says that he doesn't need to hit grand entrances. We'd probably disagree with that if they wanted to win out on the trade, but now it's an R button missing here for Aiming.
They get the flash shot, I think that's fine. I think committing
that is true. That is true.
More would have been a bit,
Beryl able to exit now, but he moves away because he doesn't want to give Ruler the kill.
Okay, that's fair. I was thinking, you know, you want to move to your AD carry to get the dash to them, but clearly was like, you know what, I don't think I think I'm dead anyway. And Beryl not afraid of death. That is something we know is very true of him.
It's a bit of Chovy bias, though, because I actually think that it's probably just as bad giving the kill over to Chovy's side.
Oh, yeah. Take note, by the way, Chovy going for Rod of Ages. So really leaning heavily into that health stacking as Shiu does a flash, but this is going to be hard to outplay. Love it from the ult.
Yeah, there's the Vault Breaker coming in. Equalizer is down, and he's held in there forever. Canyon able to get himself out of there, and this is such a renaissance for Canyon. I have to say, his early game, a whole lot more proactive, being able to get around and get things done. Of course, it helps when everyone on the map is winning, but it's just good to see him doing stuff.
Yeah, and especially in this situation where we have Showmaker on the Galio, a pick where he has been, you know, a lot of his picks he's been playing have been very active about making impact on the map, making things happen. He's kind of just been trapped in lane this time, and Canyon has been leading the charge. We see this play here. You know, he definitely could have lived here if he flashed, but Beryl not want to waste his flash for something as pointless as saving his life.
Yeah, gonna have to get big mileage out of that one if they want to try and recuperate. And I think here, holding the flash is honestly, again, the right call. I think you're dead there no matter what, particularly with Canyon having his ultimate available. I gotta say, this is the first time I feel like this LCK Cup, even taking into account the wins that they've had, where we see Gen G as they were in summer. Like, everything looks clean, the laning looks great, they're getting their early leads, Canyon is making impact on the map, as is Duro.
And also, as they were rumored to be, because we've heard that like their scrim win rate was really high, like 90%, and we just haven't seen that reflected until this game.
At all.
Well, I mean, I think we saw it in their first match against Humble Life Esports,
That's
right?
correct.
At the very beginning of this tournament. And then from then on, they were just like, oh, we've shown that we can do it. Let's just not do it again.
It was the bro loss, you know.
The bro loss really, like, I think they've only just recovered.
Yeah, it took some time.
Understandably.
Yeah.
It rattles you to your core.
Well, Canyon's going to get knocked up here as DK looking for a bit of an answer back. Flash out, gets Canyon to safety. And they still haven't suffered a loss yet as far as those kills are concerned. Chovy finding a bit of a combo here on a Showmaker who just kind of doesn't mind.
This kind of feels a flip side from the last fight where Gen G burned some sums and then felt confident going into the fight. Now DPLUS have burned some sums. The difference being, though, DPLUS are 3,000 gold behind. So even with that summoner advantage going into this Herald, it's still a big deficit to overcome.
Yeah, they're going to need a crazy fight here. And aiming, normally one of the win conditions, I do think, is unfortunate.
Oh, ow.
God.
Well, they're not fighting.
Yeah, that's not happening. Because we didn't talk about this yet, but the reason why we saw the Vi come back in the meta in the first place was into Zeri specifically. So you have guaranteed lockdown.
Well, what about Rumble for the Zeri lockdown?
By Def. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Doesn't stop her from skating over that wall, as we could see there, but it is going to gather Gen G and outer turret in this mid lane. Man, this has turned from pretty good early game for Gen G to just a slaughter.
And that's the thing is, you know, they have the tools going later in the game, as you said, with like the Vi and the Zeri to shut down these threats. You know, this tank Galio, you're playing into two of the bulkier AP champions you can have in these solo laners with the Rumble, who obviously builds quite tanky now, and this Grasp Roa Chovy. I think they're really going to lack damage in these fights if it keeps going this way.
Well, Duro going to try and pulverize his way out of this situation. Does have the Unbreakable Will, as now he uses the headbutt to taxi over towards the Sentinel. He's doing everything he can to try and escape, and Lucid says, no, you're not going to. Aiming is the one that picks up the kill exactly where they want that money to be at. But is it going to be enough to get DK back into this game?
They need to get the Dragon, though. That's the big thing. A kill was nice, but that alone is not going to be enough, and we do see the contestants coming through. Keen is there.
Yeah, Equalizer goes down. Aiming, taking so much from just one ability. Does have the redemption, though, as Canyons dive forward. True Shot Barrage right over the top there from Ruler. As Showmaker looking for that backline. Canyon already down as it's Aiming, stringing these kills together. Big taunt from Showmaker, but can he lock down Ruler? That's going to be the question. Chovy's already dead, though. And Gen G, I think they're already out of this fight.
Managed to win the fight with a numbers advantage, but Gen G's still looking. Ruler's healthy enough. She has the range.
STP.
These health bars are going low as Beryl burning down, and now Lucid looking for the opportunity, but he's put down immediately by Showmaker. Keen taunted as he turns up, almost able to get the kill, and eventually is. And now Shia looking to take down Duro once again. again. Duro able to clop his way towards this brush, but that is still the Drake going over to DK and a whole lot more.
And DK says, if Hanwha can do it to us, we can do it to Gen G. Just being ahead early is not enough. It all starts with that kill. But Gen G, because they're so ahead, I think feel confident trying to go for this fight. Initially, the setup looks good until Showmaker arrives in the nick of time. Ton of value from the redemption. Beryl, I think, actually does a great job stalling here and barely gets out alive is Shiu. And then Chovy goes in big, breaks up the fight with the stolen ultimate, but it just isn't enough. And then I think here, just let him go, right? Yeah. Just give them the Drake. It's not the end of the world. It's their first dragon.
This is such a long replay, such a long passage of play, and at every single point, it's a numbers advantage for DPLUS.
Yeah.
And you look at how the health bars are used, everyone gets low on DPLUS, but no one goes down. And I also think the most significant thing about this is this was 5 kills for DPLUS.
Yes.
Every single kill is on aiming. Every single one of them. So he's no monster fan.
God. Okay, well, I think Wolf is currently, he's got his selection of crayons out, and he is drawing up the certification card. I'm sure of it. Yeah, you'd need crayons. Yeah, he does. See, look, you can see the crayon. It's in his hand. It's an imaginary crayon, but it's a crayon.
Wouldn't you use like a nice set of like pens?
If you're doing it homemade, it almost always needs to be crayon.
Oh, I'll defer to you on that one.
Yeah.
Guys,
like, that's how I made my license.
Guys, the Gold King has the most gold. How crazy is that?
That's nutty. Chovy has the most not being alive.
Wait, what? Is that Otacon?
That might just be.
This is.
Canyon's moving over to try and get him range. Shiwa doesn't have TP. He needs the furthest away. That's the only thing that might cause some
There is a risk here, for sure, yeah. Otacon still completely shreds you, and the Equalizer is available. I think DK are going to be looking for the turner. I don't think you want to actually try and flip this. Shiwa isn't there yet, though.
The turn is pretty dangerous. 15 seconds on Chovy with no teleport. As DK, they're getting softened up by this Otacon over and over again. The redemption comes down. There's the Equalizer. Decent position on that one as well, as Lucid taking a lot of damage. Has to use the ulti very defensively. His Otacon down to 3,000. Oh man, are we flipping the game on an Otacon? Is that what's happening here, DK? Let's see what they can get done here as Beryl doesn't find anything. And it's Canyon that locks away the buff. Oh, DK, they had so much control. And in an instant, they kissed it goodbye. Shiu down to 100 health. Keen throwing harpoons all over the place as Duro going the way of Beryl, but this time he has a death prevention buff, and True Shot Barrage is exactly what the start of that word says, as Ruler is able to lock that one down, and that's an ace. And Otacon, and I think they only sent one person home.
And a huge shutdown comes in for Ruler as well, so really turning this game around once again. It's a good pick on a Chovy. This didn't need to be anything more. Just look how much damage Lucid ends up taking. Even with the redemption, he's still so low. And it turns into this desperate scenario where they're trying to force Otacon. And you see Beryl's trying to look for Canyon, but he has no ultimate right now. So there's really not much you can do to lock him down other than a Hail Mary grand entrance. And once the buff is secured, they're just trying to run away, but they're so low already.
And in the meantime, Lucid's trying to farm his jungle. He's not allowed to do that as the Pulverize comes in from Duro, and Chovy even able to throw down his own ultimate against him. Shiu turns up, Showmaker also teleporting in. Oh, it really feels like DK are starting to scramble.
Look at that cold grab.
Yeah, all of that comes down to, again, we've seen this so many times. It's why I thought that we're going to play way more aggressive for a pick. Otacon is very, very dangerous. It's the damage, and it's the fact that you become as squishy as what feels like a level 1 character, right? Your resistance just get shot to hell. And if Lucid has his ultimate, and he doesn't or isn't forced to use it immediately very early on just because of the Equalizer and like 1 Q from Ruler, like then he can walk up and actually contest. He was close to being in smite range, but he just couldn't walk up.
But also the fact that that top laner just wasn't there. Jason's miles away, no TP. Like they think, oh, we have a pick, it's a 5v4, but that doesn't work if your top laner's not there.
Yeah, and when he did turn up, Keen just barbecued him off to the side where he was able to have no teamfight impact at all, as Taunt is going to be able to pick up Keen there as Chovy dives back in. Another redemption to try and keep them alive, but an equalizer gorgeously placed. The pulverize onto 3 Duro. Oh man, I am a fan again. Don't you worry. It might have been a couple of difficult games, but this guy on the cow is looking fantastic. Ruler dancing around the backside of the fight. Xiu gets melted. A triple kill for Keen's Rumble, who looks so happy to have his teammates back alongside him here these playoffs.
And you just see Aiming not able to play the game. Vi-ulted, Alistair comboed, knocked back again by the Vault Breaker. Didn't get to press his buttons, and Gen G convincingly finished out this game.
And Duro, I thought it was going to be setting some death records without been playing. Currently 1-1 and 15
Damn.
in this first match on the Alistair.
Absolutely gorgeous stuff here as the first Nexus goes down, and as it dies, so does Orcs' prediction for this series. So he is now